Before I lay me down, let's get this off my chest first. Excerpt of my life, I call it my next verse. I'm stressed, keep it in perspective, I'm an expert about this Northwest way of life. Hey, it could end worse. Welcome in, everyone. This is episode number 14 of UpLeft State of Mind, the podcast where it's okay to not be okay. This is the show that unpacks the pressure, the pain, and the process, from mental health struggles to finding your identity, the healing process, and even ways that we can grow as individuals. There's no filters, there's no fluff. It's just raw conversations with people who are learning how to hold everything. I'm your host, Rizzle, and whether you're tuned in from somewhere inside the beautiful Pacific Northwest or anywhere else, this is your safe space. It's a place to breathe, and it's a place to remember it's okay to not be okay. A little housekeeping to get out of the way before we get started. Today's episode is brought to you by, you guessed it, Seamless Electrical Solutions. Whether it's wiring, repairs, or full electrical work, Seamless has you covered with quality done right. As a master electrician in Massachusetts, they're committed to keeping your home and business running strong. We're honored to partner with a company that values community and believes in supporting open conversations about mental health. Learn more at seamlesselectricalsolutions.com. All right, let's get into it. As we do every episode, I like to do a self-check. If you're new here, I think it's really important to just check on yourself, regularly. Kenny Johnson says, what it is, homie, what's up? I'm going to try to be super interactive with chat tonight, as I don't have a guest. A lot of times when I do have a guest, it's kind of tough to keep up with chat in real time, but also let my guests talk. I'm not going to cut them off, to read chat. But Kenny Johnson, thank you for being here, man. Can always count on you, bro. Yeah. So self-check, I'm all right. I'm doing all right. I'm kind of bummed out. I'm kind of stressed out about work, but that's a thing, it happens. It happens. And there's times when my job is not stressful, but it's really just been tough lately with staffing, and I try not to get into it too much on here, but just with trying to find and keep good workers, so that's it's stressful. It's looming in the distance, so we're getting to a point where it's about to slow down, but it's not going to slow down till after we get through the most busy part of the year. So that's stressful. That's weighing on me a bit. Got a lot to do at work. Trying to work longer days to get it all done, but it's just, it's a lot, but nothing I can't handle. So not too extremely worried about it. Yeah, kind of bummed out about my show. Not the outcome of the show. I don't want anyone to get confused about how I feel about the outcome of the show, but we're going to get into all of that when we talk about tempering expectations. That's kind of the topic for the episode tonight. I have a bunch of notes that I'm gonna go through, and we're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna learn some shit, and we're gonna it's gonna be good. So Kenny Johnson says, my family had a great time. Dude, you know what? Everyone that did come to the event had a great time. The kids, all the kids, there was everyone that came brought kids, but in every child that was running around that place had a great time. So, it was cool. The bounce house was totally worth it. And people had a good time. People were eating burgers from Neely's. Shout out to Neely's. It was good, man. It was good. Like I told people that the show ran about as smooth as I could have wanted it to, as far as We put a lot of planning into it, and a lot of preparation went into the show, and it um every aspect of it that we had planned just went so smooth, and um was successful. For the amount of people that were there, we were super successful, and everyone that went just showed their complete support and had a great time. All the kids, it was I was giving my kid a hard time because all the other rappers had their kids up there with them, and I continuously try to get my son to go up there. Uh, and yeah, see, Kenny Jones says my son danced his heart out. Yeah, man, dude, I love your kid, bro. Uh, but and I was giving him a hard time because all the other artists, their kids were up there with them, or whatever. But he's shy and all that, so that's cool. But the point of what I brought that up for is because it was so great to see all the other, just all the kids having fun, all the kids, like whether it was up performing on stage with their dad, or they were running around dancing, or running around and playing in the bounce house and getting their face painted. All the kids had face paint, and thank you to Gabby and Lainey, my daughters, that came out and ran the face painting booth and kind of kept an eye on the bounce house and stuff. And thank you to my wife for running the raffle table and setting up everything, and just I couldn't have done any of this without her, or anybody that helped out that day. Kenny Johnson, thank you for coming out that day and helping out beforehand. By the time you got there, we were basically already set up, but I really appreciate you coming through and helping out, being willing to help out. Like father, he says, like father, like son. Yeah, man. And that's a crazy thing too, because all my kids have anxiety, in some form, or are dealing with mental health, and it sucks that I passed that along to them, but at least I can help them through it, and they kind of already will be a step ahead because they kind of have some of the tools already, to deal with it. But thank you everyone that's here already. I don't know how long this episode's gonna be. I have nothing scripted. Like I said, I have some notes, but I'm just kind of venting and talking about expectations, and I kind of let myself down. I feel like I don't want to say that any of my friends or anybody that we're going to get into it all, but it's just like we had a lot of support leading up to the event. So much support leading up to the event. It was incredible. And then the day of the event, that support kind of just fell flat a little bit, and that's not up to, I mean, it is kind of up to, it is up to people to come, but it's up to me to make sure that I'm intriguing people enough to come out, I guess, would be the thing. I don't know, but it's Kenny Johnson. What was the disappointment and expectations you had? That's a good question. I'll answer that right now. Patrick, ya boy. What's up, man? How we doing? Thank you for being here. Kenny, so the expectations were, I had this grand vision in my mind. Let me hold on a second here. Let me pull up Facebook chat too. I don't know if there's other people talking or not. Okay, I just don't want to miss anybody. I'll pull up this comment while we're talking about it. My expectations were, I had this grand vision that it's like the Field of Dreams thing, and somebody said that to me in a message also, talking about, moving forward and not getting discouraged. But if you build it, they will come. And generally that holds true when you do things for the right reasons. And at this point in my life, I love doing music. I love holding events and all that stuff, but I want my events to mean something. If I'm going to plan an event, if I'm going to take the time away from my family and my work, and I only have so much energy throughout the day, and I try to do my best to not let things distract me from my day job, because that's, like I've said on the show before, that's what pays the bills. That's what keeps the lights on. That's what, puts food on the table and all of that. And so, yeah, I wanted to I wanted to do an event that if I put my energy into it, it would mean something. And so I'm doing charity event, and that's the only kind of shows that I want to throw. And so in my mind, judging from the feedback I was getting online, the feedback I was getting in person from my peers, and it wasn't getting a lot of attention, but we got an article in the newspaper, and so the word was out there. And I had been talking to so many people. I'd been so excited about the show. Like, this is my passion. These are my, I absolutely love this time of year. I'm scrolling through my Facebook memories, and it's like first annual UpLeft Records school supply drive, second annual UpLeft Records school supply drive, the food drive, the charity show that we held for the McMinnville athletic department and raised money for the high school, for the athletic department at the high school, just like all that shit, man. I love doing that sort of stuff. Like, it's cool to throw shows, but I love using the resources that I have to, like, actually make a difference. And people were all about it, and so that was my expectation. My expectation was measured off of the feedback I was getting. And I understand people have lives, things to do, and they have priorities and shit like that. But man, I don't ask for a lot. I absolutely don't ask for much from anyone. I always try to do the best that I can and I suck sometimes. I fail so hard at being there for people that I should be there for. And I've lost and changed relationships with friends and close friends due to my lack of being able to be there at times, and so it kind of feels crazy for me to be here even talking about this. But yeah, I just thought that the excitement and the hype and all of that led up to it would match the hype of the day of, and I have the post pulled up in the background. We're gonna talk about it and go over it and all the stuff that we raised and all of that, because we really have so much to be proud of. Let me get into some of these comments. Patrick says, characters built through perseverance. Be proud of what you did and put the hammer down. Yeah, I was talking to my boss about that today. He asked how it was, and I was like, I was kind of going over this, and I was like, it was really, as far as the outcome, as far as the end goal, the mission, the bottom line, what we were trying to do, it was a great success. It was extremely successful for what we went through. And but it was discouraging. It was discouraging at the same time. But I told him that I have to keep going. Um, I have a toy drive planned in Salem already, December 5th. The Tiki Lounge, DJ Byro. Shouts out to Danielle. And I have another. I'm trying to. We're working on doing another toy drive. At the same time, also here in McMinnville. Uh, and so I have to put the hammer down. I have to keep going, or else what was the point in even starting something? Because I was absolutely aware that things don't happen overnight, and I didn't expect to. I didn't expect to change the world in one night, but I did. Man, I did kind of think there would be more people in my corner that night, that day, uh, and so that's kind of the that's kind of the expectations and the disappointment that I had. Kenny, that was a great question. And Patrick also, thank you for chiming in too with that. Sounds like you have done more than most. I have done. I'm proud of what I've done. I'm proud of the shows and the events and the accomplishments that I have been able to do. But I'm nowhere near satisfied, if that makes sense. I know that there's building blocks. I know that this is the first step, and whether or not there was a huge outcome or whatever, we put things in motion, and there is a ripple that happens, and people are aware, at least a little bit, that like Rizzles give back is a thing, and that I'm out here trying to do good, and I'm gonna keep bugging people about being there, about being involved and helping make a difference, because not everybody's out there trying to make a difference. And so like if I have to like literally, hold them to the fire and say, let's do some stuff. We have the resources. We're capable enough to do this. Like, let's do it. Then that's what I'm going to do. Kenny Johnson says maybe it was the day because of it being Sunday, work day, school day. It being a school, I mean, how sure, sure. But like, really? I mean, that's kind of where my disappointment lies, is that you can always make an excuse about why to not do anything, like I worked 10 hours. I worked 10 hours today. I worked 10 hours yesterday. I probably work 10 hours tomorrow and do a podcast. I could have chose to not get on here, like I don't fucking buy it, really, that's just me. Like, I don't buy it. People are so capable of doing things and making a difference if you just put a little bit of effort out. And I'm not shitting on anybody. I'm not saying anything negative. I'm just saying, like, I don't really think that's valid. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's a school day. It was a school night. That's why we had it from 5. Like, the event got over at 8:00, 5 to 8. I don't like. We have food there. Like, if people are missing dinner, like, we had food there. We had entertainment for the kids. We had entertainment for the adults. We had like a lot of prizes. We gave away almost $800 in raffle prizes. Like, I was really trying to just make it for the people. I was really trying to do something to make people have a good time. And the people that were there enjoyed it. So like, that's cool. That's awesome. Good. I'm glad there was people there that did enjoy it. And I will forever be grateful for the first event of many, because either way, I learned so many things from it. And Kenny Johnson says, but I get it. There will be more times. I will help you anytime. Yeah, man. And a lot of people will help out. And I've gotten I've gotten text messages. I've gotten text messages today after my Facebook post, and I wasn't trying to shit on anybody. I wasn't trying to discredit the people that did support. I wasn't trying to discredit the people that weren't there but supported beforehand. I just, I feel a certain kind of way, and I feel like I'm kind of entitled to feel a kind of way, and I'm not trying to justify myself. I'm just letting people know. I'm just sharing, and I feel like this is a good place to do it. This is the point of this podcast, is for it to be a safe space and to share, and maybe somebody else can learn something from this too. Like, I mean, shit. Been live for 25 minutes and I haven't even got to my notes about tempering expectations yet. Like, yeah, hopefully we can take some good out of this. I'm trying to be constructive, as constructive as possible with my emotions, because that's what I'm preaching, and so I got to practice it as well. It was a really tough week to try to take my own advice, because I tell people so much about like appreciating the journey and not focusing on the end goal or the end product, and just a lot of stuff. And then I'm like, man, I need to take my own advice. But let me read some more chat before we get too far back. Textbook Virgo says, it's so valid to feel the way you do. People didn't meet the expectations you had. Part of me today was kind of like, because I thought about that. I thought about that exact that exact wording of people not meeting my expectations, and whether it's fair for me to have, because I had expectations for the event, and that's extremely valid and whatever. But like, is it fair for me to have expectations about the people around me? Is that a fair thing at a time like this? And I'm not completely sure. I honestly don't know. I can I don't know. I mean, kinda. I can hope that. I don't think hope and expectation are the same thing. But I can hope that I'd have people show up, but I don't know if it's fair for me to hold expectations for people around me to be there to support me. It disappoints me when they're not there, and that's the hope factor of it, but I don't know. I don't know if I can have expectations for people. I don't know if that's fair if I can. Kenny says, I think the people who showed up is who matters, but don't let this bring you down. The people, and I didn't want, so I mean, in every, yes, I didn't want this. That's why it took me an extra day. Like, it took me a full 48 hours to sit on this feeling before I realized what I should do with it. Because I did feel a certain kind of way, and I didn't want to take away from the positive stuff. I didn't want to take away from the people that showed up. I didn't want to take away from the sponsors that donated to it. I didn't want to take away from Ben and Delisa in the venue, and I didn't want to, take away from anything. The artists that came, everything was great. Everyone that was there was awesome, and so I didn't want to. I had to sit on it. I really had to sit on it. But the people that helped along the way are a big part of it as well. Yeah, I'm not letting it manifest either, Kenny. That's why we're doing this. We're doing this episode. I'm talking about it. We're getting it out. And then I'm going to move forward, and hopefully, we can be constructive with it. But it is what it is, and it was. We'll get into the results here in a few, but Textbook Virgo says everyone needs to be accountable and it's okay to call them on it. You are valid in the disappointment. I mean, it's not like there was people that said, I mean, shit, there could have been a lot of people there. A lot. Honestly, like there could have been a lot of people there that I consider close friends, you know, but nobody lied to me or, you know, told me they were going to be there and didn't, you know, and maybe that's my fault for not. I mean, I was all over social media with it and I was all over talking about it on the podcast and telling people in person and this and that and anytime I had the opportunity, but maybe it's my fault for not sending my all my close friends like a text every other day or something leading up to it and being like, yo, you're going to be there, right? Yo, you're going to be there, right? I hoped. I almost said I expected, but it's a slippery slope. I hoped that it went without saying that due to the circumstances of the event, people will be there. My people will be there. I don't care if you support my music. I don't care if people support my music. I make my music for people that do support it, but I don't try to make new people. So I don't try to push it on people. I don't try to be like, you know, I'll offer if people want to go to my show, but if you don't want to go to my show, you don't want to go. And that's cool. You know, but I don't expect people to support my music, and I don't expect people to drop what they're doing to go watch a 40-year-old do rap music. You know, as I don't know, as dumb as that might sound, you know, it's cool. But like, because of the cause, I thought, you know, it went without saying that my people will be there. And some people had some valid shit why they couldn't make it, and that's cool. You know, but it's just kind of. Patrick said maybe some of what you're feeling is the post-event hangover. You know, that could be it too, because you know there always is a bit of residual, like whether it was a good event or a bad event. But this one was kind of different. It was just different because it wasn't completely negative. It wasn't completely negative. It wasn't a negative outcome at all, really. Besides the fact that there just nobody showed up. Like we still, and I will go. We have the Facebook thing. I guess we can go over that here in a second. I just want to make sure I'm not getting too far behind on these comments. But yeah, it might have been a little bit to do with that, Patrick. You know, Textbook Virgo says, "Fair or not, your feelings are your feelings and are valid." I mean, and everybody has a right to their feelings, and you know, but. Just kind of what you do with them. And so, like I said, I'm just trying to be constructive. Kenny Johnson, I brought a posse, bro. You did, man. There was a few groups of people that came, like a couple groups of people that came out. If you didn't bring your squad, bro, it would have been looking a little rough in there. He says, my wife said she's mad that she didn't win that massage. Now I got a massage. Thank you guys. Oh man. See, and that's, you know, the raffle was so cool, man. The raffle was so much fun. I loved doing that. That was so awesome. Kenny Johnson says, did the people that you expected to be there at least let you know that they weren't coming? And see, that's kind of the thing. Like, I hadn't really talked to my close friends about it other than, and it was funny too, because like, I mean, it's not funny, but it's like I didn't text them about it leading up to it or talk to a lot of them about it because like people are on social media all the time. And I know that because when I post something negative, people hit me up immediately. But then when I post positive stuff, people yay or nay on it. You know what I'm saying? And so like I just expected, and that serves true today because I made this post and then people were hitting me up, and like I appreciate people hitting me up. That's cool. Like thank you. If you like think, and I wasn't trying to make anybody feel. I'm not trying to say like yeah you should have felt that way, you know. But like I appreciate people hitting me up. Patrick says, how many people would have been enough? And see, that's the thing. I talked to I leaned over at one point to my wife after we had looked at the donations that we had and kind of done some math on the money and this and that and how much we had for the night and and how much the raffle had done and this and that and I kind of leaned over to her and I just said like I think there's enough people here for me to not be disappointed in the out, or I think we've done enough to, I didn't say people here, but I said, I think we've done enough that I can be happy about this. You know what I mean? As far as what we raised, the donations that we collected and, just all of that. And so it wasn't really about the amount of people there to be successful as an event, but I just felt hurt as a friend that my people weren't there. And it wasn't right away that I was able to make that distinction. And I think that might be why it took me a little bit to say how I felt about it. It took me like 48 hours to really figure out what to do with the emotions and how I felt because I didn't know how I felt. I knew that I felt a certain way, but I didn't know why. I didn't know what it was from. But it was definitely just it was definitely just, hurt feelings. Hurt feelings more than anything. The event was so successful as far as, let's take a look at it. So, and shouts out to Ben for putting this post together. But he says, it's been a while since I've done a shout out for a person, and I'm happy it is Ryan Adams. I thank you, man. I appreciate you. Not only did he organize this event, but he also performed and found other artists who wanted to donate their time for a give back event. That right there was $400 in musician costs. He also hit the pavement and brought the small business community together, raising $1,200 plus $750 in raffle prizes. The door raised $350 in cash and items donations. The compliment bartender raised about $150 with added funds of $200 raised from the raffle. Neely's food truck brought in about $260 in food sales. Rizzle's Give Back at Happy Acres raised a whopping $3,310. I mean, there's no way I can sit here and say that I'm disappointed about the outcome of the event. I can't do it. Do I think that we could have hit like $7,000, $6,000? As far as like donation, as far as like school supplies and donations, had people been like, yep, I'm going to that. Like my like all the people, a lot of people that I was hoping that would be there, and damn, bro, go spend 50 real quick. It's I mean, go spend 50, 20, 30. That would have added up so quick, and we could have done another couple $1,000 at least, another $2,000. Let's be modest about it. We could have hit that number up to $5,000 worth of shit, How awesome would that have been to been able to take a couple extra, another $1,000 worth of school supplies over to the school on Friday or third. It's today, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, you know. So I mean, I can't be disappointed. I'm so happy about it, and you know, Kenny wants me to give myself a pat on the back. I'll give a round of applause to everybody that was involved. Yeah, I mean, it is. Textbook Virgo says that is a great number, and hopefully it grows every year, and hopefully more people support year after year. And that's all I can hope for. I can't be too discouraged and disappointed about it, because I mean, the proof's right there. Like, this can work. This will work. It's going to take time. It's going to take more effort, and I know that. And that's why I need to, like, really temper my expectations, and think realistically. But you know, I can't, like, that's an amazing number right there. So, you know, I'm just blessed to be able to share that number, you know. It's pretty amazing. Let's get into these notes a little bit. I want to talk just a bit about tempering expectations and how to, you know, go into things a little more realistic, I should say. So think about the last time that you pictured like a perfect outcome. Textbook Virgo, but you want your friends to show up for you. I get it, and that's fair. And that's all. That's, maybe I'm whining. Maybe I'm a whiner. I don't know. I just, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've lived in this town for the same place 40 years. Don't think I've really done a whole lot to be shady towards anybody or screw anybody over. Always tried to support people and support the community and stuff. And yeah. Just wanted people to be there a little bit. Yeah. So, you know, Kenny said he got to accept my help. I got you. I appreciate you, bro. But yeah, think about the last time you expected a perfect outcome, doing something, you know, maybe like at a job interview, or like you plan an event, or like you have some project at work that you're working on, or, you know, something like that, and it doesn't go as planned. That sucks. Like, that hits you hard, and it hit me hard. But it's not, that doesn't mean we have to lower our standards. It's just we have to stay grounded when that happens, so that we don't get overwhelmed by that disappointment. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do with this. That's funny, because I I hadn't read that part yet, and I was like, wow, that's kind of what I'm doing with this episode. Like, cool, good, go, you know. Yeah, but that's so true. You know, we have to just we have to stay grounded, and accept, you know, the realistic expectations. And it says why tempering matters. So when we chase an exact outcome, or, you know, we have this specific outcome, or, you know, finished product in mind, this perfect thing, you know, it just kind of sets ourselves up for a lot of stress along the way, and it sets ourselves up to doubt ourselves and give ourselves criticism. And I have learned that firsthand recently, you know. And like, but why? Like, those numbers right there prove that I shouldn't be disappointed in myself. I shouldn't be doubting myself or criticizing. Like, sure, I learned some things, and there's things that I can do better next time. Definitely. Um But yeah, I really, I'm learning, I'm leaning more on the side of giving myself that grace, because I did do a lot of good, and we did. I don't want to say I hate saying I, because it was not me. It was we. It was everyone involved. Um, and it really helps you put up like a safeguard a little bit when you temper your expectations mentally. It mentally gives you a safeguard, because you're not going to be as vulnerable to let down. You're not going to be as vulnerable to disappointment, and the anxiety of trying to hold this perfect thing together, when a lot of times things don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be perfect to be successful. They don't have to be perfect to be great. um, and so that's super important to remember. It's a thing, this a common trap. I'm sorry, I don't, this isn't like a script or anything, so I don't I'm trying to like relay this as I read it. I didn't read this. I'm going through this cold. So but it's like I'm reading it like I'm kind of pre-reading a little bit, so I know what I'm gonna do. But then I'm like, oh man, like I can totally relate to that. So some of this stuff might come out a little funky, but I'm gonna try to relay it the best I can, because this is good stuff. And it's helping me out right now in real time, and I'm hoping that maybe it can help some other people out too. Um, Perfectionism, thinking anything less than perfect is failure. That we get our whole lives, we're taught, practice makes perfect, practice makes perfect. But nothing's perfect. It doesn't matter how much you practice at something. Nothing is perfect. There's always going to be flaws in things. And so that's kind of a broken way to, like, sure, it's good to preach practice and repetition, and to have a goal to get better. But I think that even I mean, man, that's such an, like, we're taught that in kindergarten, in first grade, practice makes perfect, and it's just like, really, like, it just sets you up for failure. It gets that ingrained in you at an early age, that you have to be perfect, and that you have to keep going until you are perfect. And sure, like, there's a thing to it about striving for greatness, and about really putting your all into whatever you do, and trying to be better, and trying to be great. Um, Holding yourself to a higher standard than maybe people around you, or than you have held yourself to in the past. All those are good, healthy things, but it's not, I just don't feel like it's okay to try to be perfect. It's, and then we like measure ourselves against other people. And I mean, I'm not even going to get into that whole, like, social media is the top 1% of people's happy moments. And then you start comparing your life to theirs, and thinking, man, my life is all, I'm only having one moment like that every week. And I follow them, and that's all they post about is that stuff. Well, you don't see all the other shit. You don't see the times in between the perfect times, or in between the picture perfect, the shareable moments. And it's just crazy. It's yeah, it kind of goes back to also to what I mentioned a little bit ago about being outcome based over enjoying the journey. And a lot of the time with expectation, when we have too much of it, or we set our expectations too high, we become so fixated on the outcome that we don't enjoy the journey. And like, that's all life is a journey. Life is the journey. um it's not, we live until we don't, and so I don't know what happens when we die, but I know that while I'm here, I have to enjoy the journey and the process. And think about it like jumping off a high dive. This might not land, but we're gonna give it a shot. Think of it as jumping off like a high dive. What's the exhilarating part? It's the fall, right? It's getting there. It's the process from the start to the finish. That's the exhilarating part. That's when you feel the adrenaline. It's not smacking the water. It's not coming to an abrupt halt at the end, trying to get back up and figure out what the hell, it's the journey. You have to be focused on the journey so that you're not outcome oriented. And I don't know. That's kind of what happened to me. I feel like I mean, I enjoyed and I appreciated the journey, but I should have not focused so much on who was going to be there for me. And so yeah, that's why it's kind of scary or sketchy to be outcome oriented. I mean, it's good to focus on success, and make sure that what you're doing is successful. But when we get it's called outcome fixation, where success only counts if it matches the picture in our heads. That is what I was talking about. Yes. If I just would have read a little bit more. Yeah. So the next part talks about mindset shifts, and it just talks about focusing on what you can actually control, and that's kind of what I've been doing now that I processed my feelings and stuff. But the effort, the preparation, the attitude, be okay with good enough progress. Don't be satisfied with good enough progress as compared to perfection, but be okay, like embrace good enough progress, because man, all this it's crazy how much of this is just relating with what I was going through, because at some point I had to be like, this is successful. This event is successful. This is not a disappointment. It's not perfect. It's not what you envisioned. It wasn't what you had in your mind, but you can't expect that all the time. And that's Old Man Burger. Hi there, sir. Thank you for being here. Old Man Burger. Great to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah. And so like the progress over perfection thing, that's crazy. I really like that. And plus the next part says always leave room for life's curveballs. If you expect perfection and you have one set thing in your mind about what the outcome is going to look like and what you're going to achieve, that may in fact end up stopping you from or making you miss an opportunity to expand or grow in another way that was not part of your end goal and your perfect finish, and so there's always like, you always got to leave room for, like it says here, life's curveballs, because some of the greatest achievements are happy mistakes, and so you never know what you're going to find along the way. Man, this is all good stuff. This is good stuff. And see, and then now it talks about we talked about this a bit before. I like this. I really like this next part. It's talking about practical moves. And And it just talks about setting reasonable goals and setting layered goals so that you're not disappointed, because if you have one end goal in mind, one perfect ending, one perfect finish, and you don't hit that single goal, you feel like you've just spent all this time and wasted all this energy and done all this work, and all these resources have been spent for nothing, you know? And that's so not the case. Um it's so not the case. When you just have to be able to set small goals along the way. Like and I set those. I definitely did that to a degree during the preparation in the months leading up to I mean, I didn't say in the months leading up. It was 2 months and like a week, I think, from when we first spoke about it to when the event happened. But I tried to be realistic and set small goals for myself and stuff like that. And so if you set little goals along the way, like if you have a work project, or you have a project at school, or you have something you're doing at home, try to set daily goals for yourself, or a weekly goal, or even if you have a tough day coming up, and it's just like one really busy tough day, uh set set a few goals throughout the day. By 11 o'clock, I really want to have this accomplished, and then by 4 o'clock I want to have this accomplished, and then by the time I get ready for bed, let's have this thing done. Try not to overdo it, or set yourself up for failure, because we're really just trying to fill our cup along the way, and it's super important to make sure that we're getting enough out of our experiences to want to keep going. And that's tough when you don't have small goals, and you're always disappointed because you're not gaining anything and you're not achieving anything, and you don't feel like you've done any good or you've gained any ground. And it's really tough when the goal is so far out and you don't feel like you're gaining ground towards it. um, it's super good stuff. I This next part talks about how to reframe your situation and your narrative, so that you can be a little more proactive about it. I guess the word would be, uh, instead of "I must succeed," it says to try "I'll learn something no matter the outcome." Um, Swap "I deserve this by now" for "I'm building skills for when the timing is right." Um, and to try to see setbacks as feedback and not as a failure. Um, and I'm not great at these. I will say I've probably done a little bit of them. There's three here. Instead of let's talk about the first one. The first one says, instead of saying "I must succeed," try "I'll learn something no matter the outcome." And so, yes, we have talked about that on this show. We've talked about how failure is really just an extension of the learning process. And failure, a lot of times, most of the time, 99% of the time that you fail at something, I would say it gives you the tools to succeed the next go around. And so definitely keep that mindset that that you're not failing. You're just learning. You're learning for next time. Keep that goal in mind, that I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to succeed. If I do fail, I'm not failing. I'm just learning how to be better the next time I try this. Because no matter what you try, you're doing it because you want to. You're doing it because you have a passion in it, or you're doing it because it's gonna do something. You're gonna gain something from it inside, or whatever. And so don't give up. Don't give up. Keep going towards that goal, or whatever you're trying to do. Failure's just a step. And it's the burden of failure is tough too. So don't hold yourself that accountable. Just like, trying to not be perfect all the time. Don't always think that you have to succeed 100%. The second part of that said, instead of I deserve this by now, say I'm building skills for when the time is right. I've tried really hard to be good at that over the years. I've tried really hard to be good at that, to wait my turn, to know that if I keep going and I work hard at something, that I'm going to get there eventually, and so I can say that I am decent at that part of it. But it's tough sometimes, because you do feel like when you've put in that much work and when you worked so hard at things, you do kind of feel deserving of certain things. And so, yeah, I totally can relate to that. But I do need to keep that in mind, that, you got to look at it for what it is. And, you're building the skills, you're getting what you need out of it, so that when it is your opportunity, when the opportunity presents itself, that you're going to be equipped with the tools to make it through it, and accomplish what you need to. And then the third part of that says to see setbacks as a feedback and not as a failure. And that's just more kind of the failures a source of tools and building blocks for being successful the next time around. It's important to not get too caught up in trying to be perfect. Sorry, I was reading something else there. So, yeah, just don't give up on your dreams. Basically, that's what tempering expectations is. Tempering expectations is basically just holding on to what you care about, and what you're trying to do and what you stand for, no matter what, because it's, if you don't believe in yourself, or you don't stay true, and just try to stay grounded with what you believe in, then you're not really going to ever be happy with the outcome. It says it's about aligning hope. That's that word, hope. I tried to stay away from expecting and just kind of hope for things. And it says it right there. I just feel like, man, I feel like this was just so relatable to me tonight. So many of the things I felt like as I was reading it, I was like, man. Yeah, it says it's about aligning hope with reality, so we stay adaptable, grounded, and motivated no matter what twists show up on the road. So I think that's perfect. That's beautiful, because yeah, like we talked about, if you have one end goal in mind and one perfect product, perfect finish, perfect ending, you're not going to be adaptable. You're not going to be ready to change on the fly. You're not going to be ready to take anything else from it aside from what you learned. If there's another, or what you expected, I should say, if there's another opportunity to learn or grow along the way, you're probably not going to be open-minded to that at all. Yeah, it's just, it's a lot. it's a lot of hope and expectation that you got to figure out which one you have control of more. And I guarantee you're going to have control of that hope more than you are in the expectations. Man, there's so much more good stuff in here. We've already been going for an hour. You guys still with me? How you guys doing? How's this format? Because I haven't done this yet. I haven't done this format yet, where I'm kind of learning as we go. I talked about doing it once, but is this all right for you guys? Like, is this something you guys are interested in? Should I do this format more? It was super easy for me to create these notes and have some stuff to go over. And I have plenty of topics that I can do it for. If you guys are down for something like that in the future, yeah, just let me know, because I kind of enjoyed it. I've learned a lot from this little exercise here, going over the notes and stuff. I hope the paper's crumpling around too much wasn't annoying or anything, but Yeah, I kind of want to go over some of this other stuff real quick, about what expectations really are, because we talked a lot about expectations, and Old Man Burger says I like it. Okay, cool, good. Yeah, I'm enjoying it a little bit. So yeah, expectations, what expectations really are. We talked about expectations and how I'm trying to stay away from expectations and just kind of have some hopes, I can hope for things to happen, but really I just have to control the outcomes that I can and focus on those things. But this is kind of a science-y thing. It's kind of like what's going on in our mind with expectations. It says expectations are predictions dressed as promises. Textbook Virgo says, I like it. Okay, cool. Wow. I'm going to read that again. Expectations are predictions dressed as promises. That's kind of crazy when you break that down, because it's just saying that you're predicting the outcome, and then you're basically telling yourself that it's going to happen, and that's dangerous. It says our brains love patterns. They want certainty. Dopamine spikes when we imagine a win, and then crashes when reality swerves. So that can be why it feels good to, or why, that's why it's a slippery slope, because we do have hopes and expectations, and we do predict an outcome. We predict how it's going to go, and then when it doesn't happen like that, or when we think about that win or that thing, we get excited, and then when it doesn't happen like that, that's why it's so hard for us to deal with, because it's chemical things going on in our brain. The prediction reward loop means unmet expectations literally feel like a loss. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. It feels, and that's crazy, because we could have one set of expectations on the table, and then say we had a completely different outcome from those expectations, a completely separate successful outcome. We still might feel unsuccessful. We still might feel like that was a loss, or it was a waste of time, because we didn't capture that certain perfect, and so keep that in mind too when you're thinking about an outcome of something that you're going to be going through. This is kind of more about what we talked about earlier, about thinking about a perfect outcome and it not happening. It says the sting wasn't just disappointment. It was your brain processing an error signal. Understanding that science helps us see the letdown as chemistry, not personal failure. So that's super interesting. That is super interesting. So chemically, when we experience disappointment, or something that doesn't meet our expectations, because we've expected or predicted it was going to go a different way, and our brain actually feels like it was a loss. And so you can't let that turn into the personal failure thing, like they said here. You have to remember that that's just your brain, because of the way that you expected it to go. That's crazy. That's good to know. That's super good to know, because a lot of times, for sure, when stuff doesn't go as planned, I'll feel like I failed, or I feel like, I get down on myself and stuff. And it's hard to move on from that stuff. We're going to talk about kind of the emotional toll a little bit, I think, here. The emotional toll of setting high expectations. I know we're running a little long here, hour and 10 minutes, but there's still a few of you in here. So If you guys are over on Facebook, make sure you go to the YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button, youtube.com/@UpLeftPod. I'm pretty sure you can just go to YouTube and search UpLeft Pod and it'll come up. Hit that sub button so you can stay up to date on the new episodes and stuff. Go over, hit the like button. It does a lot for our algorithm. Leave a comment, all that good stuff. You guys know how to do all that stuff. There's no reason for me to explain that to you. You guys scroll all day long. You know how to do that. Yeah. So the emotional toll from setting high expectations, it really just sets anxiety. It just sets you up to have anxiety the whole time because you're chasing this timeline of something. I should be further by now, or I have to so much more work to do to make this perfect. And kind of like this here, it says resentment when others don't meet unspoken rules. That goes back to the expectations we were talking about for the people around me earlier, and how it's not fair for me to have set expectations for them to be there. I can hope that they're there, and I can be happy when my hope, if my hope comes true, I can be happy and I can enjoy that. But it's not fair, and I can be a bit disappointed, if it doesn't. But it's not fair for me to set expectations for others and then be mad and have resentment towards them when they don't meet the unspoken expectations. Like we were talking about, I didn't text any of my close friends beforehand. I just expected that they would be there. And so, I can't have resentment towards them. And it's also like, I'm not going to hold it against anybody that wasn't there. It's not going to be weird for me. I'm not going to be like, oh, you remember that one time when you didn't come? Yeah. I was just disappointed. I set myself up a bit for failure. I had some hopes, and it's not healthy to have that silent scorekeeping in relationships. And so like, I kind of was talking about that because it's important to not do that. Don't do that. The silent scorekeeping is in partnerships and friendships is dangerous. Yeah. I don't know. I think that it's just important to enjoy the process. It's important to appreciate the things that you have, and it's important to learn from the process. The process is never going to be perfect. So just learn from it, because next time the process may be a little bit better for you. It may be a little easier for you, and you may get a little more from it. I think that's going to do it for tonight. If you guys have not yet, go over to People Helping People Live on YouTube. Give them a subscription. Hit that sub button. Show him some love. He's trying to do a lot of good stuff over there. Alexander J. Shouts out to him and People Helping People Live. Let's see here. King of the Mic is Friday. We're going to do some announcements real quick. King of the Mic is Friday. Make sure you guys come out. Tiki Lounge, 9 p.m. is when I think the show is going to start about 10. But Tiki Lounge in Salem, it's King of the Mic. If you guys want to enjoy some good local hip hop, have a good time. It's a competition. I need some crowd support, some crowd participation. So if you guys are in the area or you're not doing anything, come hang out, come say what's up. Trying to get out more, trying to be more social. So come say hey, come hang out. Yeah, Friday, that's going to be fun. I think it's $5 cover maybe. Tiki Lounge, Salem's easy to find. Textbook Virgo, have a good night, bestie-in-law. Thanks for the podcast. Of course, thank you for being here. I hope you have a good night too. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend Everybody needs to hear something. We just might be the place to say it. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more episodes. And remember, it's okay to not be okay. Tell somebody you love them. We will see you next time. You see my mouse up there on the screen behind me trying to find my mouse. Have a good night, guys. But before I lay me down, let's get this off my chest first. Excerpt of my life, I call it my next verse. I'm stressed, keep it in perspective, I'm an expert about this Northwest way of life, hey, it could end worse.